John Liddle here for SWOSUathletics.com with a soccer preview for 2014. Talking to the head coach of the SWOSU Soccer team, Persson's with us, along with the lone senior on this year's squad, Randa Castleberry, is here as well. As we get ready for another soccer season, and Coach Persson's soccer at SWOSU has been one of the most successful sports over the last few years. Of course, he had that undefeated, regular season a couple of years ago. Last year, another very solid year. In your mind, you've put some building blocks together, obviously, for this team to be good year after year. What are those? What is the foundation of your program?
Well, the players are what makes the program go. So, we've been able to upgrade the talent level of the players that we brought in, and they've really bought into what we're trying to do. A lot of the girls that came in and graduated last year came into a program that had not had a lot of success, and so their commitment to SWOSU was on the basis of what we could do and what that trend would be, and they would be a part of that. So obviously, that was a big part of their 4 years here, and then the girls that have followed along have also bought into that in the sense that they want to continue that tradition and continue to make it better. And so that's the challenge. As you start to have success, it becomes more difficult to have additional success. So, but the girls have done a great job, like you said, 2 years ago. We finally turned the corner a little bit, had a great season, and I felt like this last year they did a great job too. We lost 3 or 4 games during the season, and those were 1-goal games, some tough losses that if it had been the other way, it would have really changed things for us. So again, we tried to build on that by adding to a stronger schedule this year as well, and continue to challenge the players because they've always stepped up to the challenges that we put in front of them.
Well, even for a soccer novice, you look at the schedule this year, and it is obviously very, very stacked. You talk about the non-conference competition, which a lot of these games are at home, by the way, so great opportunities for SWOSU fans to come out and watch the Bulldogs in action. But 90 wins combined versus just 54 losses with those non-conference teams. That's a challenging schedule.
Yeah, well, with our conference, we still don't have an automatic qualifier to the national tournament, and so with us raising the bar, the standard here, our goal every year is to try and get to the national tournament and compete to go deep in the tournament. And with that structure, we've got to have a strong non-conference schedule. Even the year that we went undefeated, we felt like we were on the bubble at the end, and a lot of that was the comments about maybe our schedule, non-conference not being what it needed to be. So we really went out. This is the strongest non-conference schedule we've ever had. I think it's probably close to the best non-conference schedule in our region. Like you said, 90 wins and about half that many losses on those teams. But you also have to factor in 2 teams, Central Oklahoma, who had about a 500 record, and they're a much, much better team than that. They will be again this next year. And Dallas Baptist is also at 500, but they played some really tough teams. So we've really gone out there and tried to step that up. And again, we've got Minnesota Mankato coming in, which regionally we've got to be playing those games, and so we've gotten them on our schedule. Mankato will have to return the following year. Central Oklahoma, we always have that back and forth with them, so it should be good. The difficult thing is that a lot of the decision of getting to the national tournament is based on your non-conference schedule, which gets played in the first 3 weeks of your season. And with 10 freshmen coming in next year, it'll be interesting, but a great challenge. I know the girls are up for it, and so we're looking forward to it.
A lot of graduation, like you mentioned, injuries, attrition, which is taking a toll on your roster. You look especially defensively, where you had just such rock-solid defenders last year helping your freshman goalkeeper. So you look forward to this year. Who are you going to be looking forward to help pick up the slack there in the back half?
Right. Well, obviously, we first looked at our returning players that we know can do the job. Obviously, Randa has played a lot for us, and she's our senior next year, so we're expecting her to hold in one of those spots in the back. We've had conversations about that, about how important she is to our team, and it's her senior year. And then on the other side, the left back, Charlotte, has been playing for us and has done a good job and has continued to improve. So we start there. Obviously, the 2 center backs that we graduated, Natalie and Kira, were a great combination, played together for 3 full years. we're going to look probably have freshmen playing in those positions. So it's a challenge, but I say there's lots of freshmen that are first team all conference. There's lots of freshmen that are All-Americans. There's lots of freshmen that are playing in the national finals every year. So I think we've got good players. We've got some possibilities of a couple different players that could play back there. Maya is a girl coming from Scotland who we feel very comfortable playing her back there. And then we've got a girl, Lauren, from England, and Sophia, who's coming from Toronto, who both can play either wide or in the center. So we'll kind of play with that a little bit to see what the best combinations are there. So again, we'll be young in the back. We'll return Courtney in goal, and so that's a good thing. But we definitely will look at the leadership of our returning players to keep it all together back there and help compose that back four.
Well, Randa, turn our attention to you. Does that excite you to think about having to, lead that group this next season?
Yeah, definitely. I think it'll be exciting to see what the new freshmen bring in and help them get used to the team and the way we play, and just help them have a good season and help us make it back to the conference tournament and win a conference championship and get to the national tournament.
Well, I know you'll have a few players that have been on the team before still hanging around and everything, but as far as the seniors playing, there's one, it's you. And so how much do you feel like it falls on you, like you mentioned, with all the freshmen coming in to get them acclimated, plus anybody that redshirted last year to help them along?
Well, I think being a senior, you do have a lot of responsibility, and you have to take that leadership role. But I know that we have a big junior class, and I know a lot of those girls have leadership too, and they'll be willing to help with the leadership and help acclimate the freshmen in.
You look at the hardware we've got behind us, regular season championships, conference tournament championships as well. I know it's been a lot to you guys to defend your home field over the last couple of years and win those titles. Does it mean even more to you to try to get that three-peat in your senior year?
Definitely. I mean, it'd be sad if I didn't,
Well, what do you think that's going to take? The conference has gotten tougher and tougher and tougher every year you've been here.
It's going to take great leadership and communication between the team, and we're going to have to just work together like we always have and work our way through one game at a time.
Absolutely. Well, Coach Persson, it's not just, the defenders that you've got to replace. You've got to replace some goal scoring as well. As far as you look there, who are you going to look to kind of be the finishers on this team this year?
Right. Well, the good thing about our team, when you look even the last couple of years, our goals have been spread out over a lot of players. Our leading scorers this past year, I think, had 7 goals. And, usually you're dealing with leading scorers that are 15, 16 goals. So that's one of our strengths, I think. Even as teams prepare for us, they look at the stats and they kind of see who's scoring goals. And you have 5 or 6 girls that are all scoring goals. We're scoring out of midfield. We're scoring up top. We may change a little bit our formation next year and work with some different things to kind of play to our strengths with the players that we have. But we will definitely be scoring our goals by committee. It'll be a group of girls that will be scoring, again, with Miranda Bellazentis returning, but it looks like with the surgeries that she had in the summer and it taking a little bit longer than what we expected, that she may end up redshirting this year. And so it'll be some younger players, but we still have, Eva Rules back. She scored some goals. Corey Kelly has scored some goals. We've got a handful of freshmen. They're going to come in and play in the attacking positions up there. Hannah Elrod is a player who played a lot for us in the midfield, but is really probably a true forward and can play in underneath a high forward. And so she'll get herself a little bit closer to goal, and she's a great finisher. Both her and Corey Kelly are excellent finishers. We just got to get them around the goal. So again, a lot of that goal scoring comes from team chemistry and girls kind of learning to work together. And with a lot of new girls, it does take some time. But those are the kids that we're going to be looking to, as well as the freshmen coming in, are going to have to play and score goals for us for sure.
Well, finally, Coach, it kind of builds towards the end of the year and that conference schedule and potentially a conference tournament. What's your thought on how the conference is kind of starting to shape up? Like you've got Oklahoma Baptist will be coming in next year in 2015 as well, which will help make it even stronger conference. But it seems, at least though, that you guys have been challenged more and more over the last couple of years.
Right. Well, I think across the board, the conference has continued to get better, just like we have. And I think as coaches and programs in our conference, we kind of push each other. You know, when you see somebody else getting better, you're kind of pushed to continue that with your program. So I think that's happened across the board. All of the programs have gotten better. Some of the new coaches that have come in the past 2 or 3 years have had a chance to put their stamp and start to build their programs. Coach at Washita, you know, has continued to have a good program there. Northwestern, there's a new coach there, obviously, the last couple of years, and so she's kind of building her program, as well as all the other teams that are in our conference. So, again, it's a challenge every year. With soccer, I mean, it doesn't matter how good you are. It gets down to one game at the end, and a ball can bounce one way. You can outshoot the team, 20-3, and it just isn't going in. So, a great example of that was 2 years ago when we had a great season. We're on a roll. We get into that finals, and we're down a goal in the last 15 minutes. And so, a lot of things have to go right for you to get to the tournament final, or even into the tournament. And so, it's like Randa said, we've kind of taken the mantra here is it's just kind of one game at a time, and I know a lot of people say that, but it's really, you can't change what's already happened. You can only build off of it. You can't look ahead to that next game, and so we just kind of focus on it that way. Fortunately, our conference tournament is set up so it's just a semifinal and a final.
Right.
So it's really 2 games that you're looking at, and so again, I feel very confident that we've got the players coming in and returning that are good enough to win a conference championship. And so it's just a matter of us getting that work done and putting ourselves in a position to do that.
Well, again, SWOSU Soccer's been working hard in the off-season, not only grabbing players, developing players, but also, like we said, a very, very tough schedule this year in order to try to defend a conference championship, 2 conference championships in a row, in fact, and try to make it back to the NCAA playoffs as well. Appreciate Coach being with us, as well as Randa. Thank you, guys. And they open up their season, by the way, with a couple of huge home games against a couple of very tough Minnesota teams from Minnesota in that first week of September. So we invite you on out to the SWOSU Soccer Complex. John Liddle for SWOSUathletics.com.